that the people nearly stormed the National Assembly, and if it was not the oppositional leaders to stop them, then probably, and there are speculations on that, probably the whole chain of events would have been probably different. Pictures from the round table, another pictures from demonstrations, and the so-called 1 million demonstration, which was held in the center of Sofia just 2 days before the elections of June 1990. And there were, you see, a notion of people, probably less than 1 million, most probably, but hundreds of thousands of people who gathered to express their support to democracy. And I'm sorry, our American friend from the American embassy had left, but you can see also American flags in the black and white picture. This gain in support of the opposition, of the anti-communists, materialized in the change of the political power. And in 1991 elections, UDF won by almost 1%, and had to form a minority government supported in the National Assembly by the Turkish Minority Party. Within a year, however, the former communists managed to regroup and to reorganize an informal silent coalition with the support of MRF, the dissidents from the UDF, trade unions, and former Državna Sigurnost or Bulgarian KGB officers. By the autumn of 1992, UDF and this Socialist Party were at par, but in the spring of 93, UDF was already 10% behind, which is vividly depicted on this diagram. In the beginning of 92, this informal coalition materialized into a government led by economic historian Professor Ivanov, and what this government will be remembered in Bulgarian recent history is that it blocked the economic reforms, and that was particularly the time when mafia managed to prevail in Bulgaria. This was a period when different gangster groups were shooting at each other on the central Sofia, main streets of Sofia. Pictures of the Prime Minister of UDF government, the so-called First Democratic Government 1991-92, and pictures of the rebels. The lack of economic reforms brought economic instability, and you can see how both the exchange rate and CPI were growing upwards. By 95, the socialist former communists felt no need to hide behind pair of so-called dynamic coalition, this invisible coalition, as I was mentioning. And the 1994 elections were won again decisively by former communists, which was actually an open return to the ancien regime practices. All reforms which has been started in the previous period, 91-92, either halted or reversed. Privatization of land was blocked, and instead collective farms were reintroduced, budget subsidies to state enterprises were revived, and privatization halted generally, continuously. Pictures of the Prime Minister and then this type of economic policy opened the door to Bulgarian collapse of 1996-97. The whole crisis started building up in early 96 by problems in the banking system, which was then seconded by a grain crisis. Bulgarians were reminded the late communist times when they had to queue for bread from 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. Then the whole banking system collapsed in September 1997. Many people lost their savings, lifetime savings. Almost 2/3 of the Bulgarian banking system was destroyed during these several months. And that, of course, opened the window for hyperinflation and for political discontent, demonstrations, new cycle of political rallies and protests throughout the whole country this time, not just in Sofia. And it escalated to the attack of the parliament on the 10th of January 1997. The police reacted with brutal force and many people were beaten up, including the former Prime Minister Prof. The socialist government had to resign, and the new elections brought UDF to power in office, and currency board was introduced. I'm just running through the data, through the information because I'm pressed by the time. But you can see the trajectory of this very important era of recent Bulgarian history. These are the developments of electoral support. From the mid of 1996, UDF becomes more and more popular, and by early 1997, political scientists claim a new public contract had been signed in Bulgaria with majority of Bulgarians finally supporting smaller set of values, EU membership, NATO membership, capitalism, basically. Pictures of the so-called Winter Revolution of 1996-97. You see Dimitrov with a bandage along his head, and the victory demonstration after UDF won the elections. This brings me to the initial question: was it a zigzagging transition or a great change? In 1989, obviously, Bulgarian society was all but ready for the change. The opposition was ill-prepared, ill-filtrated, story which you know very well, and it has been mentioned already about Romania, and I'm sure it's true for many of the other East European countries. The opposition was also prone to interpersonal and inter-party splits and conflicts. I didn't have time to point you the various points in time when UDF split it several times. The Socialist Party was among one of the most conservative and anti-reformist former communist parties in Central and Eastern Europe. Yet, by 1997, the transition to capitalism, NATO, EU, was already irreversible. Belarus, Ukraine, Russia, Serbia proved that the so-called Malta Agreement was not enough for democracy to prevail over oligarchy. And there were at least two alternative scenarios, which I would imagine were even more likely for Bulgaria and to some extent Romania than what actually happened. And when we're so negative about this transition period, we should certainly bear that in mind. The first scenario, which I normally call Serbian scenario, would have been one of nationalism, one of civil war, and Bulgaria would have been very open to that kind of exit from communism because of the problems with the Turkish minority. You know, in search for stabilization, the communist regime forcefully changed the names of Bulgarian Turkish minority people in mid-1980s, and this escalated political and ethnic tensions in the country. So if there is a time capsule and you move to, say, December 1989, a case with a country where the civil war based on ethnic problems would have been more likely was certainly Bulgaria, not Yugoslavia. And the other one, the other alternative scenario was the so-called Russian scenario of oligarchy, of facade democracy. It's not that the democracy in Bulgaria is wonderful, and I certainly don't want to understand it in that way, but at least there are functioning principles which probably will give ground to a more stable democracy in the near future. Why? I would imagine two main factors, but I'm sitting in the audience before. I thought this is only a tentative hypothesis, so it's worth elaborating much more on that. The first one being the slow and vocal and determined minority embodied by the street, which actually didn't give a chance for the, let's say, conservative groups within hardliners within the former Communist Party to prevail. And secondly, the open return to the ancien regime practices by Vilnius governments. However, without the Soviet resources, the revived communist project was doomed to failure, and the economic bankruptcy was immediately followed by political failure of socialist project. I started with this picture of the helicopter. You can't really see it, that's why I'm telling. It's a helicopter which is lifting the red Rubin star from the top of the Communist Party house in the center of Sofia. This happened in 1990, and I will end up with the same Rubin star which was left in oblivion at the rubbish heap of history, hopefully. Thank you for your attention.